I think it's very important for anyone just to get out of their own country, even if it's just, for a holiday or anything, because we are so stuck in our own mindset and in our own way of doing things. Even South Africa, which is a very diverse nation, we've got diverse cultures and religions, but we are still stuck in that one type of mentality and mindset of how things work.
Good day. Today I'm with Bonita Sadie at Discover Talent at Vico.net. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself, Mr. Reed. Thank you very much for having me.
No, good. We're privileged to have you, a medical editor. Looking forward to hear what that is all about. Do you mind just perhaps unpacking that for us? I must say it's quite unusual. It's not something that we come across quite often. So I'm really looking forward to you just expanding more on that.
I'm happy to share. Well, I'm a medical or scientific editor, as I would say, but also a writer. I work for an umbrella company that basically outsources our talents to scientific journals right around the world. And I work in the Center of Excellence for Neuroscience and Neurology, Clinical Oncology, Psychiatry, and Psychology. And basically what we do, we get researchers from right around the world, or doctors from right around the world, or any profession for that matter within the Center of Excellence that I just mentioned. They conduct research or studies, write these papers, and these papers come to us, the medical editors, and we ensure that these papers are medically sound, scientifically sound, and that the proper scientific language has been used, and that the methodologies that have been used are viable and reputable, if I can put it that way, and that the results follow logically from the methods used. And then obviously also that the conclusions align with the objectives of the study. So we have to make sure that it's absolutely scientifically and medically sound.
So whatever, or as an example, what is scientifically published, basically it goes through a process. One, to validate the facts. It's written in a particular way. And then, it's evaluated, I presume, before it gets published for consumption.
Absolutely.
Now, let's go deeper into that, right? So you're working with these talented individuals from the scientific world in the main. Did you study science? Because I would imagine for you to be able to work with that content, you have to be familiar with it, and it's so diverse.
Absolutely, yes. So I have a BSc in biology. I majored in neurobiology, so hence the reason why my Center of Excellence is neuroscience and neurology. I'm currently busy with my MD, which is my medical degree. I also have a MSc in cognitive neuroscience, computational and cognitive neuroscience. So I'm very familiar with the scientific terms and within the field of neuroscience and neurology.
So in the writing process, in a way, you and your colleagues specialize in different segments of different fields. So that makes sense. And how's that relationship between, if you like, an editor and the author?
It's quite interesting because we have a diverse range of clients from right around the world. Some have a little bit more knowledge in the English language because majority of these, the papers that I work on are published in English to English journals right around the world. And sometimes the language gap is a little bit difficult. So trying to get what the author is trying to say and what is, scientifically sound or medically sound is sometimes a little bit tricky, and that correspondence can be tricky, but we try our best and we manage at the end of the day. But it's quite difficult at times, especially if you have clients that are completely on the other side of the world, like South Korea or China or Japan. The language gap is very big. But we manage.
And beyond language, do you normally, perhaps on matters of fact, normally you have emerging thought processes in that regard?
Yes. So if we see an author, for example, has used a certain method or statistical analysis, we would and we understand, okay, maybe different statistical or data analytical technique would have been a little bit better. We would approach the author, asking them why did they use these specific methods or these specific data analysis methods, and then we would suggest, listen, yeah, maybe try this. This would actually work a little bit better. It doesn't skew the results. It just gives a greater results, because some data analysis gives a little bit more closer, relevant information than others. Yeah. So the authors are very receptive because they trust us as editors. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is there a particular trend that's emerging in terms of what's been written about, in terms of what's been published and so forth, or not necessarily?
Currently, a lot of when it comes to new emerging technologies. So if you're looking at your AI, there's a lot of publishing on AI, actually incorporating that within the medical field, because it's on the rise. We know with new technologies, virtual reality. So that has actually been on the rise. Did I understand your question correctly? Okay, perfect. So there's been a lot of new emergence of how AI can be used in brain imaging technology, in the detection of cancer, tumors, and it's very interesting. It's nice to be up to date about the latest research regarding that as well. So that's what I enjoy about my job.
Okay, so AI, even in the medical fraternity, it's taking its own roots.
Exactly.
Don't give us any unpublished content to be safe.
Yes.
But in general, what excites you? What have you seen coming through that makes a difference to ordinary lives in terms of what's been published?
In terms of what's been published, so I have a great passion for finding, alternative or novel therapeutic approaches for neurodevelopmental disorders and neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, and especially the early diagnosis. So the big problem with these diseases are they are sometimes not most of the time diagnosed at the later stages when it's too late for that intervention. And with this AI technology, for example, it's allowing for early diagnosis or earlier diagnosis, early signs for those that are at risk of these diseases, and then early intervention, which is extremely exciting because you're potentially changing a person's complete trajectory of their lives.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And in your younger self, did you ever visualize yourself doing this? How did this all happened? So talk us through from high school.
From high school straight to this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so my education journey and actually my professional journey has been quite diverse. Financially, due to financial constraints, I wasn't able to directly after matriculating go into the medical field. However, I'm not someone that just stays. I have to do something. Yeah. So I put myself through programming, a course that allowed me to study programming, web development, and graphics designing, actually. And then I pursued my first job within that sphere. Yeah. And while I was doing that, I also pursued my diploma in project management. Okay. And after that, I was actually fortunate enough, after working for 12 years, I was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to pursue my medical degree. Yep. But I first studied BSc in biology, so it's quite, diverse field. Yeah. But what this diversity has allowed me is to solve problems in an interdisciplinary manner. So I've never imagined, I didn't even know a position as a medical editor back then existed. So getting to that point is absolutely my studies, and through my studies being introduced to this opportunity.
Yeah, but the seeds, from what you've told me, were planted right during your graphic design days. Absolutely. Your web development and so forth. Unbeknown to you. It's a journey that will come full circle in a funny way.
Absolutely.
Because all of those skill sets accumulated, they make the magic, as we say.
Absolutely. Everything adds up. That's why I'm saying we should never regret, the little things or small beginnings, because it allows us to, form our personality, form skills that we would otherwise not have formed without these opportunities. And you would be amazed about, programming, the meticulousness of that I'm using in my medical editing now. And if I do get a paper, even if it's in neuroscience and neurology, and there's some or other programming language used in that study, I'm able to understand it from a different perspective as well. So that interdisciplinary skills and talents, bringing it into one field is absolutely fantastic. So I'm fortunate to have had that small beginning start.
Yes. Yeah. And I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Is it Edvard Laurent University?
That's correct, Edvard Laurent University, but even I might be pronouncing it incorrectly.
And where is that?
That is actually in Hungary, Budapest. Okay. Yeah, I was fortunate enough after my BSc's studies to be given a scholarship to pursue my MSc in neuroscience, and that's what I did.
So you were in Hungary?
Hungary, yes. That's
for
correct.
How long?
For approximately 6 years.
For 6 years?
Give or take.
And how was that experience?
Very interesting. There's a very big language gap. So majority, if you go to Germany, for example, a vast range of the citizens speak English. So English is one of their languages, but in Hungary, it's not. So English isn't, a first or second or third language. So Hungarian is predominantly spoken. And if you do not come to the board and actually make an effort to learn the language, you will get lost at the shops, you will get lost in the streets. However, the university grounds is a little bit more international. Because they have opened their borders for international students. But it was challenging, but the people are friendly. Once they see you make an effort to learn their language, they actually try to meet you halfway.
Okay. Yeah. So your studies, they were not in Hungarian?
My MSc was in Hungary. Yeah, at Edvard Laurent University. The program itself was offered in English.
In English?
Yes.
Okay.
So the university grounds are international, so to speak.
100%. And what did that teach you about you?
About me? It helped me to get out of my own perspective. I think when you are in... I just want to say this, I'm digressing, but I think it's very important for anyone just to get out of their own country. Even if it's just, for a holiday or anything, because we are so stuck in our own mindset and in our own way of doing things. Even South Africa, which is a very diverse nation, we've got diverse cultures and religions, but we are still stuck in that one type of mentality and mindset of how things work. And then when you step outside of your own world, you start discovering, it's okay to change perspectives. It's okay to have different beliefs and, kind of change course in how you saw the world. So it's really given me a broader perspective, a broader empathy, sympathy, understanding of how humans behave, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. And your scholarship, was it SA sponsored or it was an international scholarship that you had to pursue?
So the Department of Higher Education and Training actually has a collaboration with the Hungarian government, and it's called the Stipendium Hungaricum Scholarship, and they actually held hands to give us this opportunity.
Okay. So it's fantastic because we don't get to hear about these all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We almost stumble upon them. And recently we've met quite a few guests that have, Hungary, Mauritius, UK, Russia, you mentioned it. So it's actually great that we're doing this. And hopefully they come back to give back to South Africa and develop it further, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is what this program is actually for, to upskill South African citizens that are willing to feed back into South Africa, because we need it. We need skilled individuals that are willing to feed in, because South Africa has many skilled individuals, but not everyone wants to feed into South Africa. So this is what the program does, and it's really, I'm actually grateful for this opportunity to be able to share it, because a lot of people believe, I don't have what it takes. I don't have the skill set. I don't have, the experience. Why would I make it? I don't come from the right family. I don't come from the right background. But the wonderful thing about the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship, and actually a lot of the scholarships that are now available through the Department of Higher Education, there's no age restriction. There is no gender. There's no race. There's no religion. And it's open to absolutely everyone, and I can attest for that. It's such a great opportunity for anybody that thought, I'm too old, or I don't have this, or it's never too late, and you can change your course at any time.
Yeah. No, that sounds fantastic, and well done to our government as well for providing these opportunities. And I know from a research side, you're quite passionate as well. You've done quite a few research papers and so forth. One of them, if I'm not mistaken, talks to almost that bridge of graduates and how they integrate with the world of work. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so in this research project, it was about whether or not graduates are ready for work upon graduating. And at the same time, it was also about whether or not employers feel that the graduates that enter the workforce have what it takes to complete the job or are ready for that work. And what we found is that 75% of the graduates don't feel ready. So they have their theoretical knowledge, but they do not feel practically ready to step into their role and, take up their space and actually do what is required of them. And from the employer's side, they also feel that their graduates come in and they've got all this theoretical knowledge, but they do not know how to apply it. So it's actually, it's sad in a sense that the employer is not actually making an effort to try and understand, it's our responsibility as the employer to actually try and make that graduate practically ready for the role. Like an internship or fellowship.
It's quite interesting insights, because if 3 out of 4 are not feeling that they are ready to enter the world of work, and on the other side, employers, those that are receiving, feeling that grads are not ready to hit the ground running.
Exactly.
So whose problem is it? Somebody needs to do something, right? So I guess here, there's a gap to be bridged between learning institutions and the formal world of work, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Quite frankly, both of them need to do a bit more work.
Absolutely.
In bridging that gap, because there isn't ready-made talent. You have to invest and cultivate it.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. The tertiary education, or the university, as to say, need to actually, let's say you've studied. I studied cognitive neuroscience and neuroscience. After you've studied your 3 years or your 2 years or whatever it might be, just be 6 months where we take you to a company and we suggest the company, hold hand with companies. This company holds hand with the university and say, okay, what fresh graduates do you have? Let's give them the practical knowledge that they need before pushing them into their real responsibilities and their real roles. So if universities and companies or corporate companies or whatsoever can just hold hands and say, do you know what, we are willing to take your fresh graduates and just give them those 6 months or even a year practical experience.
And I'm going to borrow that in a different way as well, because I'm hearing experiential learning and training is actually quite key as part and parcel of your degree, right? Or your studies, as a way to expose you to the theory and application to meet, right?
Absolutely.
And perhaps this could be some of the stepping stones that are used more to address the unemployment conundrum, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because that's part of the frustration from organizations to say, well, we've got this pool of unemployed graduates, but what can they do?
Absolutely.
Right? So that's potentially a stepping stone in itself.
Agree, 100%. I think it's essential for it to be part of this study program and any study program. Look at a doctor, for example. A doctor has to do their clinical years. So why not, apply that same strategy to any career, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a scientist, whether you're a data analyst, allow them those practical years that has to be before they actually, step into the real world.
Yeah, I think you've just rewritten the whole study program, right? Well, firstly, at tertiary level, to say, on hindsight, every field should be having this, borrow best practice from perhaps the legal fraternity does it well, the medical fraternity, but it shouldn't be, the preserve of these other fields. On hindsight, actually, every other should be following a similar methodology.
Exactly.
In cultivating and closing the gap between theory and application.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that's the only way that you're going to actually bridge that knowledge gap of your practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge, where employers are actually going to be happy with who's stepping into their role and feel confident that they know what they're doing, because they can see, you can even then put it on your CV saying, this is what my program included. It included that, practical experience. And the graduate is also going to feel more confident in their ability to successfully complete the role.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you look back now, in terms of when Bonita reflects, right, on her achievements, where she is now, and so forth, what are you most proud of?
That I wasn't afraid to change course at my age. I think a lot of people are afraid, saying, I started here, I need to complete this, and I just need to make the best of this because this is what I've chosen. I think a lot of people feel it's too late to start over, it's too late to change course, and I'm proud of myself that I had the courage to say, do you know what, yes, I chose this at first. I chose it because I didn't have any other option, and I made the best of what I had, but now this is what I want to do. I want to follow my passion, and I'm not going to feel fulfilled otherwise. So, you jump out, you take 4 years, you take 5 years, you get it done, and you have a fulfilling life afterwards. Yeah. I think courage is extremely important, and, not listening to the world, because the world will tell you it's too late. They will tell you, but you've already done this now. Why do you want to change course now, especially if you've got a family? But I think it's exceptionally important, especially for your family, to see, what you are taking these chances, and they can be all right and feel okay in the future to also make those changes if they need to. Because sometimes the choices we make aren't always the right choices. Yeah. I also have this motto, you don't have to finish everything, because the world tells you have to finish what you start, but not everything you start is beneficial. Not everything you start is good for you. So being able to say, I'm stopping this, I've started this, I've done it until a certain point, but now it's enough, it's not beneficial for me anymore, and now I can change trajectory.
I mean, what you've said is very important, because talent is not only those that are fresh out of universities and so forth. It could be mid-career, it could be late career. It still remains talent. I think what you're saying is that if it adds value to you, if it adds value to society, that's what we should be focusing on, right? In terms of your contribution to the world.
Absolutely. I think a lot of focus, especially when it comes to education, is focused on matriculants. So there's a lot of emphasis, especially scholarships, except now the stipendium that I've given an example. But if you go look at any scholarship internationally or locally, majority of it is between the age of 18 and 25. They do not cater for mature age students, because why? They don't see the potential in these people. If South Africa realizes, there's potential in people, because who are you at the age of 18? What experiences have you had that can tell you exactly who you are as a person? You only know yourself as far as if the experience you've already had. But now you have to go into the world. You experience people, you experience new companies, you experience new things. And on that journey, you discover yourself. And on that journey, you can realize, but actually, I've got a passion for this, or I've got a passion for that. Very few people, I take my hat off to those that know exactly what they want to do at the age of 18. But very few people do. So, if South Africa and actually, people in general can open their hearts to understand that, people at 25, at 28, at 30 still have the potential and still, have these desires to, follow their passions and give them that opportunity, especially in work as well, because employers as well also want to employ youngsters. They don't want to employ, mid-age individuals, which is quite sad.
They don't know what they're missing out on.
Hello. All the talents, all the experience.
Absolutely.
That interpersonal skills that you worked up on.
I agree with you. And what I'm taking away from what you've said as well is that for the young as well, young professionals, don't be despondent. There is still time to refine your career, to find your passion. But I think what we need to say as well is that whatever you've learned along the way is not wasted, right? It's how you remodel that to add value in terms of where we're going. So let's relax quite a bit, and on a lighter side, see what you're up to when you are not writing, and editing scientific journals. Sia Kolisi of Faf Little.
Sia.
Yeah. The Kardashians, Chloe or Kim?
Oh, you're Chloe.
Chloe.
She's a little bit more down to earth, I think.
I hear you. And TV series, The Good Doctor or The Bachelor?
The Good Doctor. Oh, I love that series about the autistic doctor, right?
Absolutely. If you didn't choose that, I would have been worried.
Question mark. Is she really doing what she's doing?
Exactly. Kruger Park or the Garden Route?
Sorry?
Kruger Park or the Garden Route?
Oh, this one is difficult. Kruger Park.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bonita Sadie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.